In today's express workout, we're going to focus on anterior and medial leg. We're going to hit the quad, tibia, and inner thigh. We're going to start with hip flexor strength and then move down to quad. I like to do this, and it's a standing exercise that requires some balance. So if you have a box, let's go ahead and take that box. We're going to upend it in front of us just for stability. When we've done this a few times, we can take this away. We're going to start with one side of the body, and let's do right leg. So grab your strap. Make sure you have a double loop or a long loop on there, and risers down. I'm going to do a red spring for today. So I'm going to step my right foot in, and instead of having to move from one side of the carriage to another, you can do it all on the same side. So you will just want to make sure that your hip, and I'm going to be facing away from the riser, make sure your hip is adjusted. So when we do the left leg, we'll have to move ourselves out a little bit. Take this guy, hold this here, make sure it's stable so you've got it pressed down. Starting with the leg back, I want to make sure that the foot is on the ground, and we're just going to bring the knee into the box and step it back. Just start working those hip flexors. So even though I'm prime mover, the prime mover is the right hip flexor, I've still got shoulder stability I'm working on and leg stability, hip stability in the right. So simple knee lifts is really going to challenge you. Now I'm going to move the box forward just a little bit, and I'm going to go into a little bit greater range of motion and bring it up. And we'll go and we'll do that to the other side as well. Really prevent any rounding in the spine, so really keep that nice elongated spine. Strengthening the hip flexors. 3 more. 2, 1. Step it down. Let's move that box back to where we started and shift it off and switch legs. Put the strap back on. Adjust yourself. Yep, I'm right aligned. I'm going to bring it out just a little bit more. And just start with those knee lifts to the box. Touch the foot down, and then take the knee up. When you want to work more on coordination, just take the box away and just do a lighter spring tension. But today I wanted to focus a little bit more strength. 3 more. 2, 1. Good. Walk that box farther away. I'm going to move my right leg back just a tiny bit, making sure we're not so far forward the box is going to tip. And greater range of motion for 10. Last one. Excellent. Now we're going to go from front of the thigh, working the hip, to front of the thigh, working the quad at the knee. So for that one, I want to lighten it up to a blue. You may, if this is strong tension for you, just always err on going a little bit below what I'm saying. So we're going to start with the left leg since we just finished the right. So I'm going to start with my leg bent, and I'm just going to kick a ball. There we go. So put it on, slide it up a little bit more, and kick that ball. Bring it back and kick. So there's 2 things, movement at the hip and movement at the knee. So let's do knee and then kick that ball. Let me move so you can maybe see it a little bit more. So just kick. So it's not huge at the hip flexor. It's more of a knee extensor exercise. If for any reason the strap around your ankle bothers you, either put a towel down there, or if you're doing this at home and you have a pair of longer socks, go ahead and grab a pair of long socks. We're not doing a ton of these, but I have had a few students say they don't like that feeling. So step forward. And just for uh, movement's sake, it is this much is hip flexion, and the rest is knee extension. But there is a little bit of hip flexion in there. 10, 9, kick that ball. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Let's go ahead and switch back. We're going to get a little bit farther away. This one I want to drop down to my forearm. So I'm going to kind of place my hands over the edge, and I'm going to get this one back. And we're just going to start in a knee tuck, and we're going to extend for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, try to get all the way to a straight leg, 1, and rest. Switch sides. You can do it like that or move it out first. I was just being lazy, I think. All right, so get yourself situated. Bring the knee in. So the carriage is starting about a foot open, I would say, in this position. Lats, pecs, and abs engaged. And extend the knee for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Oh yeah. It's a great hip flexor and knee extensor exercise. So we're going to go from anterior to medial. If you have the infinity foot bar, you can put it vertical and just hold on to it right here. But most of us don't, so I'm just going to do it what I do with a box. So what I want to do is I want to get to where I'm stepped out. And I'm going to start with my hip a little wider, a little to the side. And then once I've got that there, place your hand on, organize that hip. So I've got a slight angle to my body and just pull it in. We're going to do 10, and then we're going to move about a foot away to increase our range of motion. If you have the shorter reformers, you may not want to drop the swivel pulley down or the riser down, depends on what you have, because you do want it pulling you up a little bit. For me with the clinicals, lower is better because then it doesn't slide the ankle. All right, so we're going to start there. We're going to move everything, feet together. We're going to move everything about a foot away, and then we're going to step it. Start leaned against it, hand on, leg is out, engage, and then press for 10. 9, have that slight lean, but engage that side hip on the standing. 8, noticing when I come in, I'm trying to stay neutral, not a turn out. 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1 more, and step out. We're going to switch, so let's bring this a foot in. We're going to turn around. And you'll find all of these lower extremity exercises in my Athletic Reformer Volume 2 Lower Body. So if you like these and you want to get more without, it just to kind of have as a reference, definitely get that. So I'm going to start here, angle it so I'm at the same angle as the pulley. And I feel that that's going to be probably about right there. Hand is on, engage that side hip, and then pull in. Now I'm going to go out a little bit farther. I didn't have enough range of motion for the start. And there we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Hold it, feet together. Walk the box out about a foot. Step that foot out about a foot. Lean hand, organized hip, and let's go. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I love this variation because it really challenges my standing hip as well as my moving hip. 2, 1, step on the foot. All right, so that's the basics for some of those exercises. You'll see in other videos where I do add some more, but right now I wanted to focus more on strength. So that's why we're keeping this part of the equation. So next thing we're going to do, if you have the shorter reformers, you do not need the box because we're on the clinical. I'm going to put the box on. You may need to start and stop this video if it's your first time watching it because you might have to try a few different modifications. I'm going to do strength, so I'm going to do a blue. If you do a yellow and it's too heavy, you may need to modify. If you have the Revo bar, you can start the carriage geared out, which I do a lot in my method classes when I'm teaching this. So first thing I do is put my knee on the bed, and I'm going to jump myself out until my foot is on the box. Now, if you have the carriage or the reformer that's on the floor, it'll just stand aside like this. If you feel that the box is too high and you have the standard, which is lower than the clinical, just play around. Maybe you only want a yoga block or a moon box or something under your foot, or even a half roller to lift you up a little bit. So once we've got that there, I'm going to tuck the toe under. I'm going to put my inside hand on the opposite shoulder rest and the outside on the closest, or riser. Then I'm going to slide up, extend the leg out. Once I get there, I'm going to engage this glute. Hand goes on the thigh, and I hip flex, tuck that knee in for 10, 9, 8, 7. Noticing my knee is at the top of the shoulder rest. Not on the top, but at the top. 2 more. 1 more. And come on down and rest. If you feel that having the knee against this requires a padding, just put a little pad over that. Two things. It can be slippery. So if you're doing this and you're starting to sweat, just make sure you have something that prevents you from sliding off. I don't want the carriage to go flying in. So first set, hands on. Second set, optional, hands off. Then we'll go to the other side. Let's get up, get set. Once you get set, you're either going to keep hands on or both hands off, and you're going to tuck for 8, 10, 9. Sit back in that hip. I don't want to stress that knee out too much. 5, 6, 7, running man, 8, 9, and 10. And that burns me out really quick. So the running man, if you're going to do light, you can do this with no springs, which seems like it should be easy, and it's not. But you can do it with the running man arms with dumbbells as well. So let's head over to the other side. I'm going to place the box aside the carriage, and we'll do the other hip. So even though both the standing hip flexor, knee extensor, and adductor were all the prime movers were moving it, it still had a stable hip component to it. Same with this. Even though I'm strengthening hip flexor, you're going to feel a lot of posterior stabilization on that standing leg. Okay. Let's go ahead and hop on. Both hands start. Toes at the front edge, sitting back in my hip. Tuck the foot, bring the knee up, extend. And then one hand on for the first set on the knee. Tuck for 2, 3. This is a scooter variation, so you can do this round back on light resistance. I like to prefer flat back, so I'm really focused on hip flexor for this, not lumbar flexor. 4, 3, 2, one more, and down. Recover for a little bit, maybe a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, depending on what you need. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. I'm going to go right around the camera to the back. Couldn't reach it. There we go. All right, let's do second set, hands off optional. Get yourself set. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, abs are in, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. So I'll tell you, when I do some arm choreography, whether Running Man or this, it distracts me from the pain and the effort. So if somebody says, why are you moving your arms? It's just to give me a momentum feeling that's more natural with like running. All right, let's do long box on. Head rest down. Want to add a little abdominals in this. So I think we'll do a blue today. Have a seat. I want to choke the straps up a little bit. So let's do once around the peg. Grab short loops. Sit fairly close. Let's roll back into a controlled balance and press out for 10, 9. Still working our hip flexors, but more in a stabilization component along with the core abs. 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs down, cross your straps. Hold them again. Roll those hips. Come into controlled balance. Legs up. Press out for 10. Leg out. 9. Opposite leg. 8. Right leg. 7. Left leg. 6. Right leg. 5. Left. 4. Right. 3. Left. 2. Right. 1. And rest. You're going to go ahead and post this. So when we work our medial, I want to make sure we have some rotator cuff of the hip work. So we're going to scoot over. We're going to start with, we'll do left leg first. So I'm going to put right leg under, strap on, and let's just do some rotators, some hip rotators. So this, when we're in this position, it's internal rotation. My goal is to make sure that my leg, my knee is relatively in the same spot. I'm not moving it in and out. So as you can see, I'm focused more on rotation than abduction and adduction. Find a position that is secure and stable for this. 10 more. So when I train the rotator cuff of the hip or shoulders, my focus is endurance, not strength. They're more of an endurance muscle. They're rotating constantly. They're stabilizing a lot. So that's not a stabilizing and in muscle that I'm going to teach or train as strength, more so endurance. I mean, if you're looking at strength for stabilization, that's different. But I don't want to add a ton of load on it. The last one. All right, so that's long loop, left leg. Let's do short loop, right leg. If you have just the standard loops, then just obviously keep it the same. Same thing, get yourself set up, make sure your knee is aligned with the hip socket and it stays relatively aligned. You can see there's a slight deviation, but not a lot. You can keep your hand here if you want to keep it tracking, so you can see whether you're abducting or adducting the knee. I'm getting a little slight abduction, so I'm really visualizing rotating inward. Five more, starting to burn. 4, 3, trying to figure out where I wanted my hand. This is actually a good spot. 2, 1 more. So where you should be feeling it is right inside the joint posterior for that one. Let's switch. So we're going to I'll sit facing away from the camera. And we're going to start with long loop. Actually, since we just finished the right, let's do the left. Short loop, left leg, left foot, right foot under. Sit up tall, align the knee with the hip socket, and let's do our rotators for roughly 20. Let's do another 5. Should burn me out really effectively. 5. If you've already burned out, you stop where you feel that I don't want you to work past fatigue. I don't want to strain. So anywhere from 15 to 20 reps will be adequate. Let's switch, put it on the right arch, tuck your left foot under, put the long loop on, stack your spine, and then start your internal rotators on the right leg. So if you find that one side loses its strength at 12 reps, but the other one doesn't, work within what you have with the max capacity of 20, I would say. I don't think you need to really be going over. If one side feels like it can do 100 and the other one can do 12, try to limit it to 20 on the stronger side, and then let your non-dominant side get stronger. And when 20 reps on the non-dominant side, whether it's internal or external, feels like it's getting there, then you can move up to 25, 30 reps and then go to a point. And it's great because they start evening out, because we're so single side dominant, way we stabilize and the way we power our body. This is a real great way to really get those hip stabilizers, the piriformis group, and the muscles that help assist with stabilization and rotation of the hip, to really strengthen them and even it out, since we are so asymmetrical in our bodies. I'm going to do another 5. I call this the femur arcs, the pendulum arcs, in a seated position. We're arcing and swinging that pendulum of the ankle back and forth. All right. So there is some more progressive moves for you to do for some hip strength, anterior. Let's go ahead and take those off. Anterior and medial with a little bit of hip rotators. I like to finish off some feet and straps, but instead of doing something fun, let's work a little bit harder. So I'm going to do 3 red and a blue. Anytime we do 3 red and a blue, you always take leg lower and lifts out of the equation. I do not want to do them really heavy. So therefore, we can do leg presses. We're going to do splits, which is really fun, I think. All right, so when we do cross straps, press out first. Put the right strap on the left foot. Bring the leg into a butterfly stretch, the supportive and safest place to do it when you're this heavy. So here's my butterfly stretch. That's what we'll return to. We're going to first, once you get in this, make sure you feel safe. Press your legs forward and hold that there. You're going to start with the straps touching your chest. So they're either going to be at that level, depending if you're a guy or girl or where your chest is. Don't be smashing it. And then slowly raise them up as you widen, because you want to clear your nose. And then slowly, and you've got to really pay attention where those, so if I lower too quick, I'm going to pull my hair and then back. So slowly raise up as you widen, and slowly narrow as you lower. So I'm getting a lot of work. I'm having to work hard on keeping it even, but it's not as straight lower and lift. I went too wide that time. Need to pay attention as I talk. And then lower, narrow, narrow. Timing is really important. Really working my hip stabilizers. Raise as you widen. And then lower. Good. Now I'm going to stay low, and I'm going to little pulses down. Pulse from the glutes. Just start with my feet together. 5 more. Booty pulses. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm going to widen my feet, and I'm going to pulse a little higher. Whoops, too wide. I don't want to cut my nose off. So about hip distance apart, pulsing down. So this is about the diameter up and down we're going to do in our circles. So let's do our circles. Be very aware of where the ropes are. It's really small because we don't want to chop your nose off. First few times you do this, it's going to feel awkward. If you want to do the circles a little bit higher, if this doesn't bother you and you can keep your hips anchored, you can do them higher. Just know where the straps are. Knock on wood, I've yet to rub my face with the straps, so I think having my eyes open and really aware. All right, so let's go to that butterfly stretch. Now, I really like the cross straps for the internal rotators. So we're going to finish with a little internal rotation. So you're going to start with your legs straight, and they're going to feel knock-kneed. So you're going to just bring your feet together, widen your legs, let your heels come in towards that butterfly stretch. Press out. Once your legs are relatively straight, you're going to internal rotate, and then back. And then external rotate and abduct the hip. Press forward. Once your knees clear the straps, go ahead and let them widen. Getting some stabilization because the legs are wanting to wobble all over the place, and I'm working my rotators. So right about there, I probably want to go a little higher with my legs so I'm not whacking my face. 2 more. 1 more. And go ahead and butterfly stretch and hold that there. All right, let's go ahead and finish with 1 leg. So go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to take that over there. And I'm just going to press out so I'm nice and stable. This heavy resistance helps really stabilize me too. And just do leg crosses, open and close. Stretch your IT bend when you cross this way and challenge your glute and inner thigh stretch when you open. So be sure you try different variations of this exercise. If you're going to do light, and sometimes I will do the ones we initially started at, I will maybe do some floor mat work before I put them in straps and do the standing with the long box upended. I like to do that. So I'll maybe do some switching legs. So maybe I'll lay them on the mat prior to standing them up and do some climb, maybe do some double leg, single leg stretches, maybe a little bit of ab work, then stand them up. So if you want to make this a full length class, do some mat work aside the carriage, do the standing work with the foot and strap, do the knee tuck, the hip flexors, the knee extensors, the ball kicks, and that side standing inner thighs. Then bring them on the carriage and do some different exercises, feet and straps. And there's a lot you can do, and I'll do some more from my athletic body, lower body, volume 2, strengthening exercises, just so you can kind of start incorporating some of these in if you like them. And they're a great variety. You'll see that I do a lot of standing work aside the carriage, behind it and in front of it. And you can start incorporating in. That is very, very effective. It's a nice way to get your students off the carriage on the floor to experience some of the same work in a different gravitational position versus always kneeling or lying or sideline. Thanks for watching.